demonstrator in Australia, and welcome to my weekly online class to go. So for those who are new either to my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, welcome. Thank you for joining me, whether you are watching live or on the replay. Each week on Tuesday nights I do a live video. We make 3 cards, and for anyone who places an order of $75 or more, and that's before shipping and after any Stamp and Rewards redemption, in my online store before the end of Saturday night, I will send you the kits to make 2 each of the 3 cards from tonight's class. So you'll get all the cardstock, designer series paper, any ribbon or twine that is used, any die cuts that are not part of the featured bundle. Any die cuts that are part of the featured bundle, I'll give you the cardstock, but you'll need to die cut yourself. Main reason for that is if you're using a different stamp set to what I'm using, if you don't have what I've got, so you're using something similar, doesn't make sense for me to send die cuts for a different image. Plus, if you need to stamp and die cut, it's a lot easier with to stamp and then die cut. So even if you had the set, much easier to stamp and die cut first rather than trying to stamp on a die cut image. Trust me, I've tried it. It can be done, but it's not that simple. So anyway, to this week's featured bundle is the Boardwalk Fun bundle. This bundle is a lot of fun. So I'll switch my camera around. So first of all, these are the 3 cards for tonight's class. This one, if you have the mini catalogue, you probably have seen this, and you may have seen this around. So this one I did case the catalogue. This was one that just got my attention straight away when I was going through the catalogue. I really liked it, so obviously I had to include it in tonight's class. And also Boardwalk Fun is the bundle that I'm using for this month's Happy Mail Card Club. So I will give you a sneak peek of those cards at the end of tonight's class, so you can see those projects as well. So if you haven't already seen it, this is the stamp set from the bundle. And then the dies, and I'll open this up so you can see them a bit better in full size. So we have the Ferris wheel, some palm trees, some embellishments, the little cars for the roller coaster ticket. These are the Ferris wheel seats, so you'll need to die cut 2 of those for 1 Ferris wheel, and then the little arrow. So that is the bundle. Let's get started. Just move these to the side. So we'll start with this one first. So this one, we're going to do some ink blending for the background. And there's a couple of ways you can do this one. Some people will do this and they'll do the ink blending on the card base. I decided it would be easier to do the ink blending on a separate piece of cardstock and then attach that to the card. So that's what we're going to do. Let me just pull out all my pieces. So I've got the basic white that will blend on, the die cut Ferris wheel and the little cars and the little star that we're going to put on the Ferris wheel. So put those to the side for the moment. And you'll need either some masking paper or large post-it notes for this one. And I think this is most likely the grid paper that I use to do my sample cards, because it's the same colors. So you just need a strip. We just need to cover this bottom section here, and that's where we're gonna stamp later. So I can actually use this as a guide, and I reckon that is probably, yep, that is about where I want it, so that makes it a bit easier to measure. But essentially you just need enough space so that you can stamp your sentiment. So if you're going with a different sentiment, if it's a bigger one, just make sure that you have enough space for it. So that's all covered up, and I'm going to start with Berry Burst down the bottom for this one. And we're just going to go across the bottom, build it up. And this will work, this design works with other color combinations as well. So this isn't your preferred colors, you can absolutely use a different color combo. I know there is at least one other of the same design in the mini, but in different colors. So you can go with whatever you prefer. But obviously the purple is the one that got my attention, so that's what I'm going with. So I want to try and get this a little darker at the bottom and a bit lighter towards the top of this section. And I reckon that's almost enough. Just a tiny bit more, a little more, just a little bit. Alrighty, I think that is probably good to go. Next, we are going to bring in some Highland Heather. So I'll blend that in to the top of the Berry Burst and then work up. So we'll work up most of, not quite to the top, but fair way up for this one. And I think I need to re-ink my Highland Heather. Needs a bit of a top up, I think. So we'll keep going almost to the top, but also make sure you blend in well with the Berry Burst. And I think I want a bit more along the Berry Burst, just blend into that a bit more. And I think that's probably just want a little bit more in the middle, I think, but I think that is just about good to go. All right. Hey Jade, how are you? So final color is Gorgeous Grape. Time to switch hands, I think. And so we'll blend in to the Highland Heather and up to the top. And I might blend down a bit further into the Highland Heather as well, just because my Highland Heather is a little paler than I want. It does need re-inking, so I might add a little bit more. We'll see how it looks. And my gorgeous grape might need a bit more re-inking as well. Just want the top section to be darker than the middle. But I'm not getting quite as much as I want. I'm just being impatient, probably. It's not supposed to be huge difference, just a little. That sucks, Jade. They're never fun. But it's an excuse to stay home and craft. Alrighty, let's add just a little bit more across the middle here. And I reckon that's probably about enough. That's probably about enough. Actually, I might just gonna add a little bit into the berry burst at the bottom and just blend into that slightly. And then a bit more up the top. Alrighty. Yes, these are the mini ones. So these are the big ones and these are the little ones. I really should use the big ones for this, but the big ones that I've got up here, and I could give them a good rinse and it would be fine, but I prefer to stick to certain color groups for each one. So yes, big ones, mini ones. The mini ones are very handy, but bigger ones would probably be better for this, given it's just, you know, a large block of color. But let's take this off and carefully peel this off. So we have a nice straight line there, and we can add our sentiment. I'm using Berry Burst for the sentiment. Looks like my line wasn't quite straight, but close enough. We're going to be adding stamping, so it'll be fine. And I'm just going to check that this is, yep, it's still got plenty of ink on there. And then we need, and I need to remember to do this in the right order, because I was doing my second one of these for the to do my other video, and I did this in completely the wrong order. So the roller coaster stamp, you need your big block for this one, or if you've got it, the stamping positioner, because that wasn't what I meant to do. This is a big stamp, so much easier to bring the ink pad to the stamp with these ones, and just make sure it's well and truly inked up. That should be enough. And we're just going to stamp this right down the bottom as close to the bottom edge as we can. Excuse my head if it ends up in the camera. And I can see I definitely didn't get that line straight with the masking paper, but oh well. And press, because these are large stamps, make sure you press down firmly to get good coverage of your ink, because sometimes with the big ones it can be a little harder to get everything inked properly. So just press down firmly, and that's good. But yes, you can see definitely didn't have quite a straight line with the masking paper, but that's fine. Now, last time I did this in the wrong order, so I'm going to do it in the right order this time. The next thing, before I add the other stuff to this, and this is optional, and you can also use Wink of Stella instead for this one. So just grabbing a spare block, some craft white ink refill, and just a warning with this, and as I said, that I might just cover a few things up just in case, because sometimes, and particularly with the white ink, if you're not careful, it goes everywhere, and the white craft ink is kind of sticky. And I did this technique once, not for this, but for another card, and I ended up with white ink everywhere. So I've just got an aqua painter with some water, and you don't have to have the aqua painter, you just want a few drops of water, if I can get them to come out. There is water in here. Come on. There we go. So, a couple of drops of water, and then I might as well use this one. Just spread it around, and if you are using your aqua painter or any other brush to do this, just make sure you clean it off afterwards. And then you can use, little paintbrush. I'm using an old toothbrush. When I say old, it is clean. It is one that I use just for this. Just an old toothbrush. I'm going to pick up some of that ink in here, and ideally you want one of those, if you're using the toothbrush, you kind of want the flat ones, but this is what I've got. I might need to add some more water, but just going to pick up some of that and just, and it won't be super obvious on camera because it can be hard to pick up, and I might need to add, but just going to whack the back of it, and you can possibly see there's a basically white specks, and I'm going to add a bit more water and a bit more ink. Hi Dimity, how are you? And we'll add a bit more ink to that, just to get, just so that we can get it looking a little more obvious for you, because I can see it, but I'm not sure anybody else can. So let's see how this goes. There we go. That's a bit better. And you can use Wink of Stella instead. And one thing you just need to be careful of is you just need to give it a bit of time to dry. You can use your heat tool to dry it a bit faster. And I'm just gonna, not that it really matters because all I use this brush for is splattering white ink, but clean it off a bit anyway, just because that ink is a bit on the sticky side. So that is good to go. So then what we need to do, and hopefully I haven't got ink all over my laptop, did that last time. This is why I suggested being very careful with this technique, particularly if you have lots of ink and very watery ink on your block that you're splattering. So double check that I've got that the right size, which I do. So we can, and I'll just carefully hold this and add glue at the back. But yeah, if you don't have the white ink refill, if you've got Wink of Stella, just use that instead, and then you get the bonus of some extra sparkle. And I think I have another version that does have Wink of Stella on it that I can show you once we're finished. So that is down. I'm just making sure because this is the exact size of the card base, I just want to make sure it's lined up properly. And then all we need to do is we're going to add a bit of adhesive, just make sure I've got it on the right side. Adhesive sheets would be good to use with these little cars, but I forgot. What a surprise. So we'll just add a little bit of glue, that is fine, stick that down and just line it up. These don't line up exactly with the cars, the stamped ones, so you just need to adjust slightly and then it fits like that. And then add some glue to this one. So again, adhesive sheets would be good with this one, but I didn't think of that until it was too late, so green glue it is. And the green glue is a bit stronger than the adhesive sheets anyway, so. And a bit more along the bottom because we do want to make sure that is well stuck down. So now, I almost forgot I didn't need to do it all the way over the side because we are going to put this just hanging off the edge. And you can pop the star up on a dimensional if you want, or just leave it sitting flat depending on your preference. I'm just going to leave this one sitting flat with far too much glue. And then we will trim. It is a fun bundle. Jade, I've had a lot of fun playing with this. And I'm not finished. I got more. So we'll trim this off. Then all that is left is to add some embellishments. And I am using just the iridescent pearl basics, and I'm just going to use the little ones for this. And if you get any big blotches like I've got there, you can cover those up. Oops, if it'll stick. Doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. You can cover them up with your gems. And I'm going to add a couple more for good measure on this one, because why not? So that is the first one. Now, I think this is my, yes. So let me zoom in once I get the, so I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but this is the one that has Wink of Stella on it. So it's not super obvious, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be quite subtle. So I'm not sure how well you can see that shimmer on camera, but I basically did the same thing, just got the Wink of Stella and just whacked it with the bone folder and splattered some of the bit around. So zoom back out. Alrighty, let's move to the next one, and the next one is a super quick and easy card. This is one of the quickest and easiest cards you will do. So bring this back in, because the only stamping on this one is the sentiment. That is the paper. So this is really good for when you need a card in a hurry or you want to build up your stash. So this one is a strawberry slush card base, and then we have some basic black, basic white for the inside, which is sticking to things, and then the paper. So this is basically part of a 12 by 12 sheet, so it kind of kind of goes across, and then you've got sort of the reverse at the other end sort of the sheet. So you can get 6 of these cards from one 12 by 12 sheet with leftovers. So let me get everything in the right order, and I should clean off my stamps before I forget, mainly because the next card I need the big roller coaster, and I'm not using black for that one, so let's clean that now before I forget. Alright, so sentiment, we need happy birthday, and I am using, is it the same? Yes. So a spare strip of that same sheet of designer series paper, I'm using that for the sentiment as well. So I'm just using pimento black for the sentiment on this one. And then we will punch the ends of that with the Happy Labels picker punch. And I'm actually using the ticket punch. I normally just use the other one, but this time I'm actually using the ticket one, and I might need to make this one a bit shorter. One more. That's better. One more on this side. Just trim it down a bit. That's better. And then we will do the same with this one. I'll just check. I'm going to trim a bit of that off. I'll punch one side, and then we will see how much is needed. We're not putting this one on completely flat, but let's go about there. And that's about right. We're gonna go on an angle anyway, so that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. So first things first, let's stick this one down. And then that is going down on the card front. It's a really useful punch, Jade, because you can do all different sizes. It doesn't matter if, like there are 3, for each one you've got 3 different widths, but you can still go sort of in between all of those sizes. So you've got a lot of options with that one. And obviously because you punch each end separately, yeah, you can have the end punch shape being whatever length you want. So it's very, very useful. So we are going on a bit of an angle with this one. I don't normally do the angle thing. I normally am it needs to be straight. If it's not straight, it looks weird and I don't like it, but this was one when I was just playing around with it and I decided it actually did work on this one occasion, so I went with it. So just slide that up a bit, and then where is my twine? So I'm just using the black twine from the Essentials pack. If you don't have this one, another option would be the black and gold one from the black and white and gold baker's twine. That was from the previous mini catalogue. Actually, no, it was the online exclusives, but it's still current. So that's an option if you don't have any of the black twine, or just whatever colour you decide goes with it. You could use, if you've got one of the old coloured ones, you could go with that. Anything that coordinates is going to work perfectly fine, really. So we will trim about there. This is the technique that I am not great at, but still decide to do occasionally. So we will add some dimensionals there and take the backings off so that we can add the twine. So now I always get it going the wrong way, so let's get that first bit going. I always end up with it slightly backwards to where I want it. So we're just going to create a loop, stick it down on the dimensional at the other end, stick that down, and that's a little bit too long at that end. That's fine, we'll just adjust. Well, not long enough, but not too long. We can trim the end pieces off, that's fine. That looks a bit better. I cut far too much, that's alright. And we'll just make sure that is, I'm actually going to add another little dimensional just up here, just to give the twine a bit more to sit on. The bottom one I think is fine, and then stick that down there, that's fine there, and then two things. Let's add the insert. Then all that is left now, straighten that back up, is embellishments, and I'm using the pearlized faceted circles for this one. And where has it gone? one right in front of me. So we just want the little, did I use the little ones? Yeah, let's go the little ones. Just the little ones. You can always add more if you want, but we'll just go with 3 for this one. And there is the second one. So nice and quick and easy for this one. So if you need lots of cards in a hurry, this is the one to go for. Alrighty. Next one, the final one, is this one. So we are heat embossing the roller coaster, and so we've got Petunia Pop for the base, and then let's find my kit. We've got some basic black and basic white for the insert. We'll do that later. Some designer series paper, and I've die cut. So I've got the ticket punch, which I've also cut out of designer series paper. So there is that, and then actually I'll leave those there for the moment just because they are tiny and I will probably lose them, and then the little coaster cars as well. So we will stamp the sentiment first and get that one done. So berry burst for the sentiment. And we'll just go in the center-ish. I agree. I've seen some really simple cards that look amazing. Sometimes, yeah, the simpler ones are just awesome. There is one, a Christmas one that I did, and normally I struggle with too much white space, but this one was just, it was stunning. I made a whole stack of them because they were quick and easy, but they looked amazing. All right, so we need to heat emboss this one. So I've got everything here, got my embossing buddy, and before I stick that down, I've got stuff everywhere. Just a bit easier this way, get all my stuff out. My desk space seems to get smaller and smaller every week. No matter how much stuff I put away, it just gets smaller and smaller, so it feels. Alright, so give your paper a good going over with the embossing buddy. Then I'll move that to the side for the moment. I need to bring this one is on the beak. Just make sure that it is clean. Yeah. And my Versamark is quite old, and although I've re-inked it, I think it is possibly time for a new one. So I am about to order a new one because this one is at least 15 years old. So it's doing well and it's still going, but sometimes, particularly for larger images, it just seems to struggle a bit. But hey, it's still going. And I'm actually curious to get a new one and just test out the difference in how well they perform. So it's a bit of an experiment as well. Alright, I think that is just about inked up. And this is one where the stamping positioner is a good tool to use, because you can, if you realize you haven't quite got enough ink, you can add some more and, you know, stamp and be confident that you're stamping back in the right position. So this one, we want to go not right at the bottom, but pretty close. So just make sure you're within the width of the paper, and then just go close to the bottom. And as with the first one, press down firmly. Make sure you get all the ink. Alrighty, hopefully. Alright, I think that looks pretty good, I hope. It's hard to, with this paper it can be a little tricky to tell, because there are some parts where you're not quite sure if it's not inked enough or if it's just the paper, so we shall see. And the fan is on, so hopefully the powder doesn't go everywhere. I think I got all that. Hopefully I got all that. Alright, gently tap the back. Check for any stray marks to brush off. But I think that is looking pretty good. I'm happy with that, but before I start heating, so I don't blow this all over the desk and floor and everywhere else, just tip it back, or most of it, back in the jar. It's not all quite going back in, but that will do for now. I'll deal with the rest later. Okay, let's just move that out of the way, move that out of the way, just brush some of the excess powder off, and bring in my trusty heat embossing clipboard. So doing it on the clipboard, make sure it's a wooden clipboard with a metal clip, not plastic. With the foil underneath, just means that when you heat from above, the foil heats up and it heats from the bottom as well, and minimizes the warping of your cardstock and curling. So let's get going. And this, the good thing with this one, because it's quite big, hopefully you can see it all go white and shiny. let's just check. Let's see, we've got a bit. I think that is pretty good. It looks like it's all melted, I think. Just a couple little spots I'll give it a little bit more to, but I think it's pretty good. That looks good. Alrighty. And just be careful with the metal clip when you go to remove it, particularly if your heat tool has been very close to it. It might be a little hot, but that one was fine. Alright. Let's start putting this together. So, this will go on the paper that fits. I cut that properly. Okay, that is good to go. Add that to the front. Okay, then we will add this little one on. So this is Azure Afternoon cardstock. Decided to go with a bit of blue rather than any of the pinks or purple, just so it stands out a bit more. And just adjust that until it's where we want it. Good. Okay, and I'm going to add these now. These are the die cuts, and I don't know how well you can see these two down here. They are tiny, so be careful with these ones. I'm going to pick them up with this to add the adhesive because they are very, very small, and just add a tiny bit of glue. That one, now we need to flip that one over before I lose it. No, it doesn't want to. Oh, wait. It's been difficult. Okay. We add a bit of glue to that one. Now I'll put this one down first. And then this one's not so bad, this one's a bit bigger. Oh, cordless heat tool. Now that would be good. I like that idea. That's an excellent idea. Now, where, oh, there it is. It's my sentiment piece, but let's add the, no, let's do that one first. That one's going there. Now I'm going to add the insert first, just because I am going to use some of the puffy stickers on top of the sentiment, which is already raised up, so it's a bit easier to do this when it's not quite so bumpy on the other side. So let's get that down. Alrighty, so we need the puffy stickers, and we are also using some gems. So these are the 2024 to 2026 in color pearls, and then these are the puffy beach boardwalk puffy stickers. So I'm going to use the blue one there, and then one of the little dots. I just want the pinky one there. And then just some of the pretty in pink gems. And oops. Don't do that. That is the final one. So let me just put the lid back on that. Let me bring the others back in for a sec. So that was the first one, and that is the second one. So those are the 3 cards from this week's class. And you have until the end of Saturday night to get your orders in if you want the kit for this week's class. Now, I said I would show you the club cards. So I'm using the same bundle this month. So it's the Fun, and in no particular order. So here is, and let me zoom in a bit more for these ones, seeing as you don't need to see all of the desk. So this one got a few different lots of designer series paper, got the puffy stickers, just stamped in Memento Black for that one. This next one is similar to the second one, but this one does actually have a bit more stamping, and it's got die cuts. So this one, the paper doesn't have any of the stamping on it. So stamped in bubble bath, and then got the die cuts as well. So that's another variation on that second card from tonight. And then we have this one. So this one is heat embossed in the white, and I've got this one uses the Happy Label Speaker Punch that I used on the second card, and also the second one from the club. and a couple of lots of the designer series paper. Oops, and I'm dropping. And there they all go. Give me a sec. Oh, one more. And I'm going to have to make sure all my spare pieces haven't fallen out. The final one is this one. So I've got 2 lots of designer series paper, another designer series paper from different set, 2-tone cardstock. These were just coloured with Stampin' Blends. I've got the puffy stickers in again and some die cuts. These were coloured with blends. So yeah, that is that one. So these are the cards from this month's club. So registration for this month's club is open until the 15th. So for those who aren't familiar with my club, it's a monthly subscription club. So each month is 4 projects. You get the kits to make 2 each of the 4 projects, plus consumable products, so designer series paper, embellishments, ribbon, twine, that sort of stuff. So you'll have plenty left over for other projects. And registration closes around the middle of each month, but once you're signed up, you don't have to re-sign each month. It just rolls over until you cancel. But yeah, so that is this month's club. It is this set is a lot of fun. I love the paper in this set. I love the stamp set. It is just a lot of fun to play with. Yeah, I really like how this one turned out. I think this one is, I like all of them, but I think this one is probably my favorite. Yeah, this one was fun. They're all fun, but yeah, I do really like that one. So yeah, and I'll just switch my camera back around. Alrighty, so that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Next week's bundle is the Easter Joy bundle. So that is next week, and yes, I will be here next week. I am heading up to on stage on the Wednesday, but Tuesday's live will still go ahead. So thank you again for joining me. I will catch